My name is Hannah, and this is my beauty budget. Hey y'all, so I got this idea to film a video talking about makeup that I feel like everyone bought except me. I'm probably going to title the video Makeup Everyone Bought Except Me, but I want to say right up front that you know that I'm being hyperbolic. Obviously, there is no item of makeup that everyone bought except me. That's just not a thing. What I mean is that I want to talk about a little list of things that whenever I see someone talking about them, I always think, oh yeah, I forgot everyone bought that. And there are things that I myself didn't buy for one reason or another. It's kind of a mix. I'm not going in chronological order, but I think it'll be fun, and I think that it would be fun to hear what you guys have to say about this, because I'm sure that there are things that you feel like everyone bought except you, and I'm sure that they're different from my things. And I feel like that's what's interesting about this video, because my list isn't necessarily about these makeup items. It's like about my way of thinking about them as things everyone bought except me, because it's unique to me in some ways that I didn't buy all of these things, and it's also unique to me that these were the first ones that sprung to my attention when I decided to come up with this list for this video. And before we get into the meat of the video, I just wanted to mention briefly that this is how the blouse came out. I'm wearing it again after its like third dye wash or something, at least. Yeah, I can't remember, but it's been through the dye wash like a bajillion times to try to get it right. And this was after the black dye wash. And as you can see, it isn't totally black. It's a little bit like of a purplish gray. I'm sure that my former attempts to dye it and also its original color, which was pink, kind of mixed with the black, but I'm sticking at this. I like this color and I don't want to put it through further trauma. It's actually not even supposed to be washed in the washing machine, but now it's been washed a bunch of times. I think it might have shrunk a tiny bit, but it still fits, and I'm really happy that its little life has been saved, so that's exciting. I also wanted to tell you, I am wearing, y'all, what is the last thing you would think that I would say to finish that sentence? On my face, I am wearing X. Comment down below. What is the last thing you would expect me to say? What do you think? What are you going to be the most shocked at? I mean, maybe you can already tell by looking at my face. I'm wearing lashes. Eeny weeny little bits of lashes, but lashes still, and I just couldn't help it. This little brand, which it's so cute that I want to link down below their website, and I'll link specifically to the page that they have on their website about the ethics of their company. It's really, really a sweet company. The rep is really sweet, and they make lashes and brushes, and they sent me both, and they've all been wonderful, but the lashes have color in them, and I just couldn't help it. I actually bought some lash glue with my budget in order to be able to test out these lashes, and this is the first day I'm wearing them. I'm going to zoom in so you can see them. So the company is called Elysium, and the ones that I'm wearing, I'm actually just wearing little snippy bits of this lash, which is the wave lash. So these are the lashes, and you can see that most of it's still here on the little plastic holder. I just snipped a little bit off of the end of each one and applied them to the outer corners of my eyes. And I mean, this is the first day, but I'm actually kind of here for it. I can't see myself just having this be a one-day only thing. I'm enjoying the effect quite a lot. And on my lids are the Adept Cosmetic Singles, which I'm hoping to give a thorough review of soon here on my channel with swatches and everything. Spoiler alert, they're amazing. I'm really, really, really loving them. But all of that is business for another video. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of this one. Okay, so the first thing that I feel hyperbolically as though everybody bought except me is the Cover FX blush duos. This is the one that inspired this video. Someone was talking about them in a video. It was probably Teresa, maybe Lacey, and I just thought, man, everyone bought one of those duos. Everyone bought those effing Color FX blushes except me. And then I was like, aha! I want to make a whole video about that. They are beautiful. I totally understand why everyone bought them. I wanted them too, and I scoped them out online. I thought about which one would be the one for me if I were to buy them, and then Cover FX just did not get $38 of my budget in any of the months since they released. I just always had things that I preferred to spend those $40 on. That's almost a quarter of my budget. And blush, I love, love, love blush, but I'm like really loyal to the blushes that I own, if that makes sense. Like that, I just feel like I love the blushes that I own with the passion of 1,000 burning suns. And when new blushes come up on the market, I'm always like, I love blush, but I feel like the skepticism towards the blushes that I don't already own, which is ideal. Like that's how I would like it to be. So I'm trying to maintain that suspicious relationship with all new blush releases. I just feel like, how can they top my beloveds? And I'm sticking with that for now with the Cover FX blush duos. I have yet to see them and swatch them in store. It's the bronzer ones that I'm actually really the most intrigued by. But I would love to know, did you guys buy any of those? I mean, it was so interesting, like blushes and shiny blushes, highlighting blushes, blush highlight duos, bronzer blush duos, those kinds of things are released every day. I mean, like we see that release every week in beauty news. Someone's coming out with a range of blushes, and they usually go relatively uncelebrated. Like it's usually, people are usually just like, oh, I already have blush. I just feel like that's kind of the general approach. And for some reason, and Cover FX, I don't even think of them as being a brand that tends to suck everyone in. Like it's not like ABH, or I guess ABH is no longer a good example, but it's not like it used to be when ABH released an eyeshadow palette. I wasn't surprised that everyone would buy it except me. And in fact, one of the ABH palettes is on my list. That wouldn't have been a surprise, but Cover FX, it just surprised me. It seemed kind of out of left field that literally everybody, but not literally, figuratively, it felt like everyone bought them except me. The next one on my list is the James Charles palette. So when I sat down to brainstorm for this video after thinking it up based on that one, the blush duos, the first one I thought of was the James Charles palette. I feel like everyone bought the James Charles palette. And I think that the reason I feel this way, and this is definitely kind of relevant to the core of the video, it's like, what makes me feel this way? What makes me feel this way is when a bunch of my friends and a bunch of the YouTubers that I watch all happen to buy the thing, even though I don't identify as someone who like would buy that thing. And so I feel sort of left out. I'm like, wait, what was the glamour that I didn't see? Like, what was the appeal? And I feel that way about this, I think, because Lauren May Beauty bought it, and I feel like Lacey also bought it. And I do know that a bunch of other people bought it too, but I feel maybe like with this one, it's just coming from the fact that those two friends bought it. So already the video concept is revealing something interesting to me, which is that it only takes one or two people that I watch who I admire and whose tastes are kind of aligned with mine to buy a thing that I didn't buy to make me feel, again, figuratively left out. So that's really interesting. But I was sort of surprised, like when the James Charles palette released, and maybe it's because I've never really watched James Charles at all, and so it was an easy pass for me, and then also the fact that it's a rainbow palette was an easy pass for me. And so I was just a little bit surprised when it was flying off the shelves, not only kind of out in the makeup ether, but among my nearest and dearest. Everyone bought the James Charles palette except me. So that was a $26 train that I didn't get on. I added it all up, by the way, so I'm going to let you know at the end exactly how much I saved by not buying all of these things that everybody seems to have bought. So now we have a throwback, because I started going back. I didn't want it to just be like stuff everyone bought this year that I didn't buy. I kind of wanted to include some old standards, some like old school makeup faves that I feel like everybody owns. So I decided to put Becca Champagne Pop on this list because that one's relevant to me. Like there was a time in my life when I was very tempted to buy Champagne Pop. It was when I had first discovered YouTube. I had watched a bunch of Jaclyn Hill videos. She was basically the first person that I kind of voraciously watched on YouTube. She was my introduction. She was my gateway drug into YouTube beauty videos. So I saw the release video of Champagne Pop, and I just wanted to like touch the magic. I wanted to like be part of the party. So I went to Sephora, I swatched it, I put it on my face, and then a Sephora employee was like,
wow, that highlight looks amazing on you. What is it?
And I was like, it's Champagne Pop. You know, wink wink, because we both know about this whole thing. Like it's like a thing. And in retrospect, I'm kind of surprised that I didn't allow that feeling to eventually usher Champagne Pop into my collection in exchange for $38. But I think what held me back was that it's just a bit too dark. It just is. It just is. I know it's supposed to be universal, but it was always going to be sort of a slightly darkening highlight and not one that was like rosy enough that I could get away with it as a blush or a blush topper. It was always going to make my Cupid's bow look a little bit shadowed compared to the rest of my skin because I am just so ghostly pale. So that common sense held me back from buying it, but I do feel like I am alone. I do feel like I'm the only one. I feel like everyone bought Champagne Pop except me at some point or another. So the next one's a little bit more recent. It is the ABH palette that I decided to include. Which ABH palette do you feel like everyone bought except me? I mean, I didn't buy any except for Modern Renaissance way back in the day. So it could be any of them after that. The one that I feel like everyone bought. Because most people that I know that I follow on YouTube, a lot of people bought all of them. A lot of people love all of them, have the whole collection, etc., etc. The one specifically that I really feel like everyone bought except me is Soft Glam. I feel like Soft Glam reached into the hearts and gripped the heartstrings of everybody who makes YouTube beauty videos and everybody who doesn't, and got them to spend $42 on it. Because it's just the perfect neutral palette. And I think that what was going on was that up until then, ABH had been releasing these slightly edgier palettes, and everyone was so in love with the idea of the ABH palette, like the monolith of the ABH palette in beauty. But even Modern Renaissance wasn't a neutrals palette. It was a very, very warm tone, sort of glamorous, rich, strange, trend-setting palette. It became the new neutral, but it wasn't like that perfect neutrals palette. The other thing that was going on with Soft Glam, I feel like, is that it had the ability to be cool toned. It had a black in it. I feel like it even had some purples, and that was way before the shift to cool tones. It was like a gift from the heavens for everyone who was waiting for cool tones to come back in fashion. Months, maybe even like a year before it happened, right? Soft Glam dropped. And it is a beautiful color story. It's like, I think that the idea of ABH, which was a monolith, an establishment when it came to eyeshadow palettes, the idea of them finally releasing a perfect neutrals palette. Can you see Sadie back there sharpening her little claws? Yes, Sadie. She's never done that while I was filming before. It's cute. So I feel like everyone was always really excited about the ABH releases, and everyone is secretly always excited about kind of like a perfect neutral palette, like an ideal neutral palette. The idea of soft and glam together is a really good sell. So when that established brand with their best of the best eyeshadow palettes at the time released that other thing, soft plus glam, the ideal neutral palette, it was like no one could resist. It was like literally everyone was slain and left on the battlefield clutching their soft glam palettes except me. I feel like Sadie's about to start crinkling some papers. Like she's got this little gleam in her eye, like she's about to start making biscuits on some crinkly paper back there. And that's gonna be a problem for me, Sadie. Why don't you come up with something else to do? Okay, here's another one that I feel like everyone bought except for me. ColourPop Yes Please. I feel like everyone bought the ColourPop Yes Please palette, and I did not understand the appeal. I took a long time to get on the warm eyeshadow train, like the reds, and now I'm really on that train. Like I love a red, but I still don't get a tingle in my loins for a red and a yellow together, like the McDonald's colors. It always makes me think of ketchup and mustard. So that was true of the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, I think it was, and then the Yes Please palette, which was in many ways a color dupe, or a dupe, I mean, it was the dupe palette, basically, like they had all the same colors in them. And everyone was so about that color combo right then. It was like oranges and reds had been in for so long, and then yellow started to enter the picture. And so suddenly we had these two palettes, one very expensive, one very affordable, that were offering the trendy reds and the newly trending yellows together in the same palette. And I was just like, ketchup and mustard.
On the eyes?
But everyone was so about it. And I still kind of don't, I understand, and it's not like I don't understand the appeal, because I try to understand the ways in which things appeal to other people that don't appeal to me. Like I try to at least understand that taste is subjective. For me though, a grungy mustardy palette or a grungy mustardy color story with a bright yellow incorporated into it, like that makes sense to me. That's something I can get behind. And as I said, I'm on board now with the reds and the oranges. I'm just not drawn to reds and yellows, like those primary reds and primary yellows together in the same palette. So I didn't buy Yes Please, and I was a little bit bewildered that everyone seems to have done that. I just had the worst thought. I just had, oh my gosh, you know that meme that I kind of despise, which is like the making fun of I'm not like other girls thing? People are gonna think that this video is like that. But it's totally not. This isn't what I was trying to do. I'm not trying to be like I'm so different from everyone, because I own a lot of things that I feel like everyone bought too. I'm trying to specifically separate out the things that I feel like I didn't buy that everyone bought from the things that I bought that everyone also bought. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to say I'm not like other girls, because I am in many ways like all of the other girls who bought all of these things. Gosh, what a horrifying thought. The internet is a horrifying place. It's so horrifying to like start a project with good intentions and be really excited about it and feel like there's depth and potential, because I do feel like there's potential in kind of looking at examining the feeling of feeling left out or feeling like alienated because your tastes are different from other people's, or because your budget is different from other people's, or because like I don't know, like trends strike you differently than they do other people. What I'm trying to look at is like the feeling of being like, oh, I like everyone bought that except me. Like I mean, I guess I did also refer to the idea of like everyone being slain on the battlefield, feeling like I kind of like escaped it. I'm like, phew, I like got away with not needing and not wanting and therefore not buying that thing. So lucky me, because I like had an out, which is that I don't know, I didn't like the color story, I didn't want to buy it, I don't like the formula or something. So there is that aspect too. But those are the things that I feel like are worth looking at, and that's why I wanted to buy this video. I mean, that's why I wanted to make this video. I'm not trying to say that I'm like so different. That's not what I mean. And I hope that that's clear. Oh, good God. I feel like I've lost my will to go on with the video now, but I am going to go on. I'm going to say the last two things. So the second to last thing that is on this list is the Fenty foundation. That foundation released before my No Buy Year, the first one, the Pro Filter, the matte one. That foundation released before my No Buy Year, I believe. Maybe not. I think it did though. No, it totally did. It totally released before my No Buy Year, because it was the first launch, right? And that was before my No Buy Year, because I bought a couple of Fenty things before the year began. Gosh, I have a hard time keeping track of like time, days and weeks and months and years. What are those things? I wanted to want that foundation so bad. I was really excited that the range went so light, and I got several samples and I tried and tried and tried, and it just didn't work with my dry skin. But I felt like everyone was buying it and loving it, and I feel like a lot of people kind of continue to buy it. I just feel like that bottle is somewhere in everyone's collection except mine. And then the last thing is Too Faced Peach Everything, especially that Sweet Peach palette. I remember when that released, and since then I've kind of more fully joined the makeup community, and I've come to feel like everyone bought that palette at the time. I also kind of feel that way about the foundation. I feel like everybody loves that Sweet Peach, what's it called? I didn't write it down. The Sweet Peaches and Cream, is that what it's called? The soft matte one, you guys know the one, Sweet Peach Fig Cream, Peach Cream? Fig cream? Figs, creams, sweetness, peaches in a foundation. Everybody bought it. I didn't buy it. I also feel like, and this is kind of again getting at what I intended with this video, which is that these things are rising to my mind when I make this list because something about them intrigued me. It was always kind of a there but for the grace of God go I situation. And I really felt that way with the matte palette, the matte peach palette. I think that when that released, it was a little bit in advance of me learning enough about my own makeup preferences to be able to articulate to myself that I don't really love a matte shadow. Like, I didn't really understand my style, or it hadn't evolved as much as it has now. Now I would never buy an all matte palette. I would never. I don't even like a palette that's majority matte. I like mostly shimmers, and I almost always build my eye looks with almost all shimmers. The only mattes I usually use are like blacks and dark purples and dark blues in the outer corner to deepen up a look. And even then, I often use like a shimmer version of those darker colors. So an all matte palette, especially like a Too Faced Peach all matte palette, would not have been for me. It would have languished. It probably would have been decluttered. But it was so beautiful to me at that time. And it is so beautiful. The color story and the packaging was very appealing to me. That sort of like bubble of glass. It just really, really appealed to me. And I felt like everyone was buying it. And I'm glad that I didn't, for obvious reasons. But I think that that's part of why Too Faced Peach Everything made this list, is that I just, all of these releases, all of these Too Faced Peach releases, I was like, should I want that? Like, I kept feeling this feeling like, would I like that? And the fact that everyone was buying it made me feel like maybe there was something that I didn't know about how that product would fit into my life if I were to buy it, because of the fact that I didn't really want to. And in retrospect, I know that I did make a good decision not buying it. I did know myself. But the fact that everyone was buying it except me, or the fact that it felt like that, kind of stressed me out when all of those things were releasing. And I also put the Sweet Peach lip oil on that list because I tried it in store. I really, really wanted one of those lip oils, but I never ended up buying one. So maybe that was during my no-buy year that those lip oils released. But it was something that I always thought I would eventually go back and buy, and I never did, and I'm glad that I didn't. So those palettes were around $50 each. The foundation was $36, the lip oil was $20, the Fenty foundation was $35, the ColourPop Yes Please was $16, and all of it added up to $345. So this little list of things just off the top of my head, because I didn't dig that deep, I came up with this list over the last day or two as I've been planning this video. I've just been jotting things down when I think about them, but I'm sure that there are others, and I would really love to hear from you guys on this video. What are the things that you feel like everyone bought? Whether you bought them or not. Like, I have things that everyone bought that I didn't. Or maybe there are things that I've bought that you feel like everyone's bought that you haven't. I would just love to know. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this topic. And it's interesting to add up the numbers. It's interesting to note that I saved $345 by not letting those misgivings, the misgivings that were seeded in me by the fact that I felt like everyone was buying this stuff except me, by not letting those misgivings cause me to override my own instinct. So the ColourPop Yes Please is a great example, right? I did not want it. It didn't appeal to me. But when everyone freaked out about it, I was like, maybe I should buy it. Maybe there's something that I'm not seeing. Maybe I would love it, and I just don't know. And I just don't understand makeup enough to know that it's actually really amazing and that I should be buying it. Maybe I'm a fool over here for not wanting it. Those are the feelings that seeing everyone buy a thing caused in me. But the fact that I didn't give in to those feelings, the fact that I didn't let them override my actual desires and my actual instincts, has saved me $345 over the last couple years, at least. I'm sure it's much, much more because there are a lot that I'm not thinking of, but that's what all of these ones that I was able to think of today added up to. And that is it. That's my little video about makeup that everyone bought, except me, hyperbolically, figuratively. You know what I'm saying. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to your comments, and I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.